Imagine you want to go play a board game that you just bought, but there is a mix-up at the board game factory. The instructions are for a completely different game. Let's say the box has a chessboard and chess pieces, but the instructions are for Scrabble. This is a defective pairing between the game instructions and the game board, and it makes playing impossible. The instructions say to start by drawing 7 tiles, but there aren't any tiles in the box, so the game can't even start. The idea with the argument from Nomological Harmony is that naturalism predicts a sort of mismatch in physics that would make all events in our universe impossible. But theism predicts the existence of a universe like ours. Now, before we can jump into the argument, we need to first answer the question, what are the laws of physics? The argument works no matter how we answer this, but our answer will affect the structure of the argument. In this video, we'll look at 2 possible answers. First, some people think that the laws of physics are descriptions of how things in our universe interact. For a simplified example, let's say I'm falling. According to this view, the Earth causes me to move downwards, and the law of gravity simply describes what this looks like. However, the law of gravity isn't causing anything to happen to me, the Earth is. Another view is that the laws themselves cause things to happen in the universe. So, on this view, the law of gravity actually causes me to move downwards. So with these 2 theories of what the laws of physics are, we can look at 2 ways of running the argument from Nomological Harmony. First, what if physics are just a description of how physical things influence each other? Then we better hope the right sort of things populate our universe. Again, simplifying for the sake of brevity, the physical stuff in our universe has different physical properties like mass and charge that interact with each other in different ways. Masses attract other masses, positive charges attract negative charges, and so on. But the property of mass doesn't attract or repel positive charges. In fact, masses do nothing to positive charges. So sometimes physical properties have no influence on each other at all. But this means we can conceive of a hypothetical universe where nothing happens because all the physical properties that happen to exist have no influence on each other. For example, say there are things with property A in this universe, and property A would attract property B, but nothing has property B. And there are things with property X that would repel property Y, but nothing has property Y. So nothing happens at all. Quick note, if you're a naturalist, you might not think that this scenario is metaphysically possible, but it's a priori epistemically possible, given this view of the laws of physics. Now, to turn this into an argument for God's existence, notice that there are far more epistemically possible defective pairings of physical properties where the universe is stillborn than there are functional pairings where stuff happens. If property X only interacts with property Y, well, there are more ways for property X to be in a universe lacking property Y than there are ways for property X to be in a universe containing property Y. You could have a universe with just X's, or just X's and A's, and so on. Given naturalism, nothing makes one particular possibility more probable than any other pairing. So, the probability of a functional pairing, given naturalism, is very low. However, a universe where stuff happens is quite plausibly going to be more valuable than a stillborn universe. So, theism strongly predicts a functional pairing between the physical properties that appear in our universe. Therefore, updating on the existence of a physical universe where things happen is strong evidence for theism over naturalism. But what if we instead take the other view about the laws of physics? What if the laws of physics are things that govern the universe? Well, then we better hope we get the right governor. Again, simplifying, our universe is full of properties like mass and charge. The laws of physics, on this view, cause masses to attract, like charges to repel, and so on. But we can conceive of a universe that didn't have charges or masses in it, but instead contained unique properties x and y. Since the laws of physics govern charges and mass, instead of x and y, the laws of physics wouldn't cause anything to happen in that universe. Conversely, we can imagine our universe with charges and masses in it, but laws of physics which cause x and y to attract. But these laws don't govern mass and charge. So, we need laws of physics and a universe that are paired together in the right way for stuff to happen in our universe. Again, stillborn universes where nothing happens are going to be far more likely given naturalism, so the existence of a physical universe where things do happen is strong evidence for theism over naturalism. One response to the argument from nomological harmony is a modified multiverse response. Instead of positing a bunch of universes, each possessing different constants for a single set of laws of physics, for the standard fine-tuning argument, you could instead posit a multiverse where every possible law of physics is paired with every possible universe, or alternatively, every possible combination of physical properties exists in some universe. Now, this multiverse is very broad. It would definitely include a universe like ours, but it's so broad that it entails the existence of deceptive physics. For example, take this law of physics. Mass attracts other masses before next Tuesday, but repels other mass after that. Or alternatively, we could say the property of tricky mass attracts other tricky mass before next Tuesday, but repels tricky mass after that. The number of universes with deceptive physics would easily outnumber the universes with well-behaved physics. So, given such a multiverse, we lose all ability to predict the future because all our empirical data is consistent with both mass and tricky mass, so we can't tell which universe we ourselves are in. A multiverse renders us unable to tell whether or not gravity will suddenly reverse next Tuesday, so you can't use a multiverse to escape this argument. One quick note, I called an argument in a previous video the nomological argument. The reason is the word nomological basically means relating to the laws of physics, and there are two main arguments that reason from the laws of physics to God. The argument in a previous video, I probably should have called that one the nomological fine-tuning argument, or just the argument from induction, but the argument in this video is a distinct argument called the argument from nomological harmony. I just wanted to make that clear. Now, what score do I give this argument? How much does it raise the probability of theism? Well, this is another one of those arguments which I find incredibly strong. There's an unfathomable number of epistemically possible laws of physics. I can't see how any of the objections to the argument could work, and as far as I can tell, the argument rests on really solid premises, like stuff happens in the universe. When discussing the argument from psychophysical harmony and the nomological fine-tuning argument previously, I said that the evidential strength of those arguments were super big numbers, like a Google or a Googleplex. This was because these arguments make virtually no assumptions, and the fewer controversial assumptions made by a fine-tuning style argument, the stronger it is. Nomological harmony fits into the same category, so if I were to numerically weight this argument's strength, I'd give it a similar score. Anyways, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.